Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday night edition of the Joe Quill Show. I am that ugly dude, Joe Quills, and welcome into a Tuesday edition of the show. And I am repping Philly tonight because Phillies are taking on the LA Dodgers down at the ballpark, and it is not a contest tonight. Phillies are beating the living hell out of the LA Dodgers. It's 10-1 in the bottom of the seventh. Even Forrest Gump hit a home run for the Phillies, aka um, Brandon Marsh. Uh, so we're gonna have some fun here tonight. I'm in a good mood because the Phillies are winning. I'm in a better mood because I'm off work. I'm off from work tomorrow, and just got to fix one thing here. There we go. So now I won't have to every 15 minutes change my TV, my monitor here, my second monitor um, to don't have to put my second monitor and get it out of sleep mode or whatever. So we're all set here tonight, and hopefully everybody's having a good night out there, unless you're a Dodgers fan, because I will show you one thing here as we get the night started. Um, Took me a while to find this on Facebook, and it's probably because um, I've been on Facebook for 15 years, but I thought it was a good time to bring this back, especially after Trey Turner hit that grand slam. Here we are already. There you go, losing again, and that was from 2009. I was at Game 4, and that was a fan that was sitting next to me that had that sign. After we won, I said, "Can I take a picture of that?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." So I held the sign up, and I use that from time to time. And this is the perfect time to do it because the Phillies are beating the hell out of the Dodgers, and all I have to say is beat LA, beat LA. But we have to do it again in October. But um, so um, that is uh, that is my cover photo on my Facebook right now, at least till Wednesday or till Thursday night. And then Friday, it'll be back to the digital road sign that says avoid Philadelphia. But, anyways, got a lot to talk about here tonight. And, you know, wearing my Philly jersey. It is it's a mock Philly City Connect jersey. It is a red one that I saw online a couple of months ago. And if a certain someone shows up, we're gonna play guess that jersey. Guess who is on the back of the jersey, and you know we'll see. But somebody got hit by a pitch, I think, for the Phillies. Um, and this is what happens when you're going head to head with the Phillies. Oh, it's Johan Rojas. Yeah, don't worry about that. Um, so Um, even though the Phillies are looking into getting an outfielder before the trade deadline, um, that's not good that um, that an outfielder goes down, especially hours after the Phillies announced that David Dahl was designated for assignment, and he was designated for assignment because Kyle Schwarber came back, Bryce Harper came back, the band is almost back together. We just need JT Realmuto back. And I should be saying we because I am not part of the organization, even though I am wearing my Philly jersey tonight. Um, but but it is um, it is a good night here for the Phillies as they get back on track. Probably the best thing they had was getting that day off yesterday. and it was more because of the Dodgers that they got the day off because the Dodgers had to go from West Coast to East Coast, and a lot of times when you go from the Western time zone to the Eastern time zone, they will give you that day off after the end of the series before you travel east, so you get time to acclimate to East Coast time. So, but um, Phillies are at least for one night back to normal here, and hopefully we will see them uh, show their home dominance this year. They've been pretty tough to beat at home. So, um, but coming up on the show tonight, you see everything there on the bottom of the screen. We have update on Hurricane Burl, not Pat Burl, Hurricane Burl. Well, Pat Burl was his own hurricane. He was a hurricane for the ladies. He went through women like I go through underwear. Uh, give you an update on that. Tyler Glass now goes on the DL. I'm sorry, the IL. I still call it the DL because disabled is a bad word. Joe Burrow wants to be an Olympian. There's only one Josh Allen in the NFL. I'll tell you about that. And I saw this story. I actually saw it yesterday, I believe, but I have to share it because it really caught traction today. Um, and I got it from WMMR. It was originally on 6ABC in Philadelphia. Um, and it's a funny story. I might have to explain some things with what they do at this store. And this is a stupid stuff that I saw segment that it'll laugh. You'll laugh because somebody actually took the time to do what he did, as opposed to somebody just being insanely stupid with whatever he did. Um, so I see we got a ton of people on X tonight. I got one person right now, from what I can tell, on Twitch, but it's early. I am going to work on the Twitch thing. I am going to work on the Twitch thing. Not the Twitch thing, the Twitter thing tomorrow. Um, I'm just peeking here. Okay. So those that are watching, those that are watching on X, aka Twitter, you can chime in as well. Here, I thought I needed to pay $78 to that clueless putz Elon Musk, and you can personally tell him I said that. I don't care, but for the low cost of $7, I thought that's what I would need. But you can participate in on X as well. So no matter what platform you're on, you can chime in, and I will. And if I find it interesting enough, I'll put it up for you. So, and we were posting things left and right last night because some of my friends came in, and uh, we were all over the place, and I see Robbie in the chat here saying hello. But for whatever reason, it's not coming up on this screen here. So Robbie, I can't do what I did with my test here. So um, just more stuff I got to work on. But um, at least I can. At least I see that at least it's working. Um, but let me do one thing here before we start here. Before we get into the meat of the matter here, just want to get that article ready for later for the stupid stuff I saw segment. Um, See, for some reason it's showing me, but it's not showing Robbie on my thing. So, um, show all. Uh, and forgive me if I'm being tech support on the fly here. Um, No, it's not letting me. Okay, so that is something I got to work on because it looks like it's something on the EV Mux end. So I will have to take a look into that. Might have to upgrade the plan or whatever, um, just to see what they offer on this program that I call EV Mux, where I can highlight stuff like this. So I have to keep an eye on that. Um, and and Robbie is saying as well as I lost that. Oops. I saw he did have a comment here. He said he was having problems as well. I am guessing that the issue is with EV Mux and the plan that we're using for the Bleacher Brothers page, as well as what I'm using for my personal page. So, um, and that reminds me because I just mentioned my personal page. That reminds me because I want to show you something here. Um, I had a fun interaction today, unexpectedly, while I was um, working today, and some people know that how hard it is with work right now. Just people screaming at me time after time after time. So, so I shared this. So I'm going to share my screen here, and if I mess up, then so be it. But hopefully, you guys will still hear me. Um, so I'm starting to get back into gaming now. The game now, granted, I only play. Um, I only play Out of the Park Baseball, which is a PC game. It's more of a general manager type game where you just say pitch, steal. There's all different functions on there. Now, I used to play Madden, but for whatever reason, I stopped playing. I think it was because you could no longer import the college players into the program and stuff like that. So I got out of it. And I think I got bored with PS3 and I was using it more as a DVD player. Um, but I posted this message, and Kate Scott, who is the Sixers play-by-play announcer, and she is always the topic when I have a rant when it comes to equality in sports, women in sports, you name it. And I always say, and I also turn it into regular life stuff. I turn it into, um, I turn it into I have no problem if the best person gets the job, if they're female, if they're this minority. I couldn't give a rat's ass about that. All I care about is, are you the best person for the job, and did you work your ass off to get there? Kate Scott worked her ass off, and she got the Sixers job a couple years ago. So I found out about this actually last week. I didn't report it, and I saw it, and and I shared it. It was off of her page on Instagram, apparently. I thought, but she shared the tweet, uh, a screen capture of the tweet of Barrett Sports Media that her, Mike Tirico, and a couple others are going to be on the Madden 25 game this year. So I thought that was cool, and also somebody local, and also a female voice in the game, which is fun and interesting. I want to I want to hear her call games, even though it'd be a generated Kate Scott voice on the game. So then I get this reply, and she goes, "Oh, do it. Don't have to say much more." Because I said we'll get it for the PC when it's released. I already streamed 2 shows 4 days a week. It's going to be five in a little bit. Been wanting to. to game some online. So cool you're on it. And I'm a fan of hers. And, it doesn't have anything to do with her being a female or anything. She calls a good game. And, I couldn't care less who the announcers are as long as they do their job. Whereas Phillies fans, and trust me, I've been seeing it a lot on this one Facebook group. Um, for some reason, this one group, biggest bunch of whiners I've ever seen. Oh, this game's on Max tonight. This game is on Apple. It's on Roku. It's this. It's that. I actually told somebody to shut up, but not actually say shut up. I was like, you know, whatever I said, but she started going after me. I said, listen, blah blah blah. Oh, she called me an asshole. I said, takes one to know one. And she kept going on and on. It's like, I've stopped. You're continuing to go after me. But but I love that Kate Kate Scott uh, that Kate's going to be on the game. Um, Now, granted, it's not Tony Bruno, but whatever. Now, if I would have known that I would have crossed paths with Tony Bruno 10 years after the last version that was on in '07, maybe I would have kept the games instead of cashing them in. But uh, but I thought that was cool that Kate is going to be on the game, and I imagine what's going to happen is maybe Mike Tirico, because he's on the game, maybe he does the Sunday night games, and maybe somebody does the Thursday game, and make it look like different announcers calling different games, and the the main announcer doing the doing the Sunday games. I don't know, but once the game comes out in August, we'll find out. And I'm going to be playing on the TV, and I am probably going to stream on an off weekend and just do a story of the Eagles in terms of Madden from me playing. And I used to be good at Madden. It's just, I haven't played in so long that I would need time to get used to using the controller and everything. So um, there we go. 10-1 in the eighth inning, and the Dodgers are using Kike Hernandez as the pitcher. And I wish Major League Baseball would do us a favor and ban the pitching, the um, non-pitchers from pitching unless you totally run out of pitchers. Because you know, because one thing is you never know what can happen in baseball, and they showed this highlight earlier in the game that John Kruk hit a home run when the Phillies scored like 9 runs in the ninth inning to beat the Dodgers in LA, like 14-12. And John Kruk said after the game he was pissed off because he missed last call for food at the hotel. But um, but uh, but I just think just seeing somebody lollipop pitches to the plate. I don't want to see that in baseball, and I guess that's something in my uh, in my bizarre world. Robbie also asked, "Am I getting the new NCAA game?" Um, Probably, but um, it requires me to get a PS5 or an Xbox. I know one of my friends did push Xbox on me. I am a PS5 guy. Um, as long as it's multi-console compatible, where you can play online against other people, maybe I get a PS5. But that's the thing; it's not going to be on PC, and Madden's going to be played on my PC because I just got a brand new PC here, brand new gaming computer, 32 RAM, uh, terabyte hard drive, solid state. And but I am going to get the PS5 eventually. So I'm just setting things up here a little bit here, changing things up so I can see both the Twitter chat as well as my personal chat. So, but um, now one thing that some people do not realize with me is as we get away from my day, which was a little bit of a pain in the butt, a little bit fun, back and forth day. Um, the one thing that people don't realize about me is I'm a bit of a weather nerd, just like Mike Trout. But um, but the one thing is, and this is a funny story here, and Robbie would know what this is like, even though I was part time at my school, finishing up at Drexel University many years ago. It seems like now. Robbie, FAU. Um, I finished my degree as a part-time student, and back at that time, my company was paying every dime of my tuition, and I think there's enough time gone. And Robbie says, "Go Dragons." Uh, Robbie, and I talked to my advisor. I said, "I want to take these weather classes. I have 8 credits I got to take. I want to take them as 4 and 4 because it's three for the lecture, one for the lab." She said, "Yeah, but you're going to have to pay another $200 a credit for you being an online student taking it in the classroom." I'm like, I don't care. I'm not paying for it. So I ended up exactly with 180 credits, and I graduated, and then went on to sports management the next year. Turned to a 3-year program instead of a two because things happened in my family, but uh, I am I'm multi parchment from Drexel University. So, um, and it's a funny story how I got into Drexel, but that's a story for another day. But I took weather classes, and even when I was on Facebook before the show, I actually um, I actually took a look at um, Facebook, and somebody, you know, trying to debunk climate change and all that stuff. And they're posting the high temperature in June from the highest temperature in June in each state for um for the month of June. And I forget what year they used, like 1970 something, I think. I don't know. But it was compared to this year. And me being the weather nerd that I am, I said, I want to see the numbers for July. And the reason why I said that was because when it comes to the month of July, that's when the highest temperatures come. Now, you think because the summer solstice and the sun being in its highest point and all that, you figure June 20th around that range would be the highest temperatures. But no, there is some theory that um, there is some theory in weather where it takes 30 days for that highest temperature on average to hit. So right around July 20th, usually you get that highest temperature, and likewise in the winter in North America, in the northern hemisphere, it would be around January 20th. But um, and another thing I looked at is hurricanes. Now, I'm not the type of person. I'm not John Belaris. I didn't get roofied by Russians or anything like that. But I did study it, just to get the final 8 credits I needed. And um, when I took that, it was, I even tweeted John Belaris one day. I was like, "What's the weather going to be like on Tuesday?" Because we had a extra credit uh, thing that we had to do for class. Um, but I kind of get some things with weather. There's things that are way above my pay grade, and I probably should have gotten into meteorology the first time I was in college because, hey, maybe I would have got laid more. But, but I understand some things. I try to explain why, you know, oh, why is it so much hotter today than it was 2 days ago? It's like, well, this high pressure, which was to the other side of the state, it's bringing in a cold wind, whereas when it's off the ocean, it brings in the warmer air. But you get the idea. So yesterday, Beryl made landfall in Texas. The exact town I'm not sure, but it went right over Houston. And for the second time in its history, NRG Stadium sustained some damage in a hurricane, and several panels were missing from the retractable roof of the stadium, home of the Houston Texans. Um, at least three panels were missing from the stadium's roof. Now, the good news is this hurricane, which was an anomaly because you don't see Category 5 hurricanes in June, you know, because the ocean waters are so insanely hot here in the Atlantic right now and in the Gulf of Mexico. It went up to Cat 5 before it hit Jamaica, and then it went down a little bit, then started to strengthen, hit part of Mexico, and then swerved north. So, and that's why you always got to keep an eye on on a hurricane because they're not operating um, with the jet stream. They're their own separate entity, and they can. That's why they meander around a lot. And a lot of times, or even the last hurricane that really the most memorable one was the one in Houston where it just anchored right over Houston for days, and they got like 50 inches of rain. So you do have um, you do have the all the uh, but you did have some damage there. Um, Barrel landed as a Category 1, but it was all up and down the scale because that's what happens when you have a strong hurricane like that. It did suffer damage in 2008 from Hurricane Ike. There were five missing sections. They had to postpone the Texas home game in September against the Ravens. And I need to do one thing here. Um, I got a friend's Discord up because I was on there promoting the show, and I left the sound on that, so the tab sound is off. So that's what that sound was. So the good news is they have 2 months to fix the stadium. They got about 6 weeks to fix the stadium. First home game is until August 17th when they host the Giants in preseason. The regular season home opener is for September 15th. So I mean, you could probably, even if you can't play in Houston, you could probably play that at the University of Houston, I would think. And by the way, it's a final 10-1 Phillies, and hopefully the Braves lose so we can get to 8.5 in front. And Minute Maid Park did not sustain serious damage in the storm, and they're playing the Marlins tonight. And yeah, that, you know, I keep an eye on things because, you never know when a storm's going to come up the coast, and that's part of the reason why if I have to go down to Florida, I'm not going down in the summertime because you never know when a hurricane's going to hit. Um, there is a plan for me to go down there in November. Um, there is a possibility in November that AJ and I will be doing a super long stream on Breeders' Cup weekend. That is because uh, we were just chatting one day. I was like, dude, I can do it. I mean, I'm off that weekend. I could just tell my buddy, I have work to do in Florida, but you know, get to go down to Florida, get to check things out. Forgive me, my Snapchat is going off now. Uh, So, um, but you know, I always keep an eye on things, and I think November will be okay. You still get hurricanes there, um, and you know, get to see the compound of Bleacher Brothers, the home office, and whatever, and maybe get to see FAU in action or whatever I get to do over those 2 days. Uh, it's just that I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the because I may take a vacation day on Friday. We could do 2 days of side casting with the Breeders' Cup, but that's stuff we can talk about later on, me and AJ. Um, but it's hurricanes are no joke. I know that. You know, closest thing I had was Superstorm Sandy. Now, granted, that wasn't a hurricane when it hit, but I mean, we're far enough inland here in Philadelphia that you don't necessarily get that super large storm hitting Philadelphia. I mean, it'll hit Jersey, it'll hit Long Island, but it's all about the water temperature, and if it's 80, 90, 100 degrees, those hurricanes can flare up like that. So, but um, but I am a bit of a weather geek, and I can explain things to a certain extent. I'm not going to be John Belarus. Hopefully, I don't get any Russian mob women roofing me or anything like that. And that's a weird story that you have to check up on. But um, it is interesting to say the least. So, but Houston did get hit. They didn't sustain too much damage, but they have a ton of people who lost power. And trust me, yesterday, all I kept doing was getting calls for CenterPoint Energy, which is their electric provider in Houston. And I saw somebody posting on Twitter today how they haven't seen a CenterPoint Energy truck. Well, guess what? I mean, and I probably would have said this and probably said it a lot more classy than I'm going to say now, but it's more than you having a power outage right now. It's the whole area, and you know, even though Houston is used to getting hit with hurricanes, you know, it's still early in the season. It's like, wait a second, and it's right after the 4th of July too. So I'm guaranteeing some people are still on vacation. It's like, oh, I gotta go back to work. But it is it is it is something that they will, hopefully we're not affected by too many hurricanes this year, but it looks like we're going to get hit hard. And even if we don't get hit hard, there's still going to be a lot of action in the Atlantic this summer and through hurricane season, which goes until November. So we'll see. But that was um, that was a little thing that I saw today. Also, I saw today, and I think I saw this when I had NBC, not NBC, MLB Network on this morning. Tyler Glasnow is on the DL. I'm sorry, IL. I keep calling it the DL. Maybe it's because I'm so old. But Tyler Glasnow goes on to the 15-day DL with back tightness. And since he was in the All Star game, he has been withdrawn from that. And Hunter Green takes his place, the Cincinnati Reds pitcher. Glasnow is 8-5 with a 3.47 ERA in his first season with the Dodgers, and and the reason why it's a 15-day DL for the pitchers is a couple of years ago, the Dodgers found the loophole where if a pitcher had a minor injury and very minor, like, and I'm over exaggerating when I say this, um, uh, a hangnail, you know, uh, you know, bruised ego. Oh, we'll just put you on the 10-day DL. We'll give you a little break. You'll come back on day 11. We'll take advantage of the system. So now it's 15 days for pitchers. And, um, but Dave Roberts said ahead of today's game that Glasgow's back flared up when he was playing catch over the weekend. He should return some point after the All Star break, and you know, I mean, he's leading the league with 143 strikeouts. Um, that's most before the All Star game since Clayton Kershaw fanned 159 back in 2017 before the All Star break. 11.81 strikeouts per 9 innings for Glasnow, which is the best second best in baseball right now. So, but I don't think he was. I don't know if he was scheduled to pitch in this Philly series before he got hurt. Um, I know I wasn't. I mean, the only thing I was worried about was who was pitching for the Phillies, and uh, Zach Wheeler was the guy today. Tomorrow, the Phillies have Christopher Sanchez on the mound. Thursday is Aaron Nola. Now, just some updates, especially if you're in Philadelphia right now. That game tomorrow was taken off of local network, and it's going to be an exclusive game on ESPN. So just want to alert you guys because that Facebook group that I'm on, and I made the mistake of reading a couple of things or responding to things, so it ends up on my timeline. So I see everybody's comments about Max and oh, it's on ESPN, blah blah blah, because they want to hear Kruk and Tom McCarthy. Personally, I would rather have Ruben Amaro, but hey, you can't have everything. But um, but but more about Tyler Glasnow here. He missed the beginning of the season with a strained left oblique, or last season, and he had Tommy John in 2021, and he he was injured, and I think they were not sure what to do, and end up we got to give him Tommy John. So he has had an injury history over the last 3 years. Um, I think this is just something that came up out of nowhere. Uh, everybody gets, everybody has little tweaks and twinges and stuff like that. I mean, me, even though I'm an old fart, I got a problem with my shoulder the last couple of months. Um, I mean, how I hurt my shoulder, I don't know. I'm guessing sleeping. But the thing is, eventually going to have to get it checked out here. Um, but, um, but, but there will still be 5 other Dodgers on the roster next week when they play in Texas. Catcher Will Smith, not the guy that smacked Chris Rock upside the head. Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts, uh, even though he's out with an injury right now, and Shohei Ohtani will be there. So, but the thing is with the Dodgers, they're so far ahead in the division because they're up like 9 games or something like that. I can double check that here for you because the Phillies won, so they're back up to 8 games up over the Braves. I'm sorry, Dodgers are only up 7 after that loss. But the Phillies, 59-32, best record in baseball, 648 win percentage after tonight's win, and they hold 4.5 games on the Dodgers for the top seed in the National League East. But it was an impressive outing today, and it was just a matter of time before the Phillies cracked the pitcher tonight. Um, um, Bobby Miller. So it was only a matter of time, and um, they, they Phillies showed why they're probably one of the top offenses in baseball, and you can tell the difference this year versus last year because I'll tell you what, I said this early on, and nobody really agreed with me, and nobody really said no, you're nuts. There's a lot more situational hitting with the Phillies this year. And, even though home runs are great, home runs do kill rallies. So, um, but, because now the bases are empty, you got no pressure on the pitcher, except if you're Rick Sutcliffe, because there was a story where he gave up 2 home runs, and the the pitching coach came to the mound, and this was when he was with the Cubs, and pitching coach comes out, and Rick Sutcliffe says, "I know I gave 2 home runs up, blah 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 blah," and the pitching coach says, "Okay, I understand that, but just to lighten the mood, he said that um, I've given the fireworks guy some time so he can fill the fireworks cannons." So yeah, that is a funny story, and you know, the Phillies were. I don't think they have the fireworks set up anymore because they did have the fireworks show before they left on the west on their trip to Chicago and Atlanta last week. They did have their fireworks shows for the year. Um, I guess the next round of fireworks will be late September or October when Red October commences again. I probably shouldn't say that because uh, it might happen that Robbie might come on the show and watch the show in end of September. He said, "I thought you were saying what were you saying about Red October?" As the Phillies go in the toilet, but but the Phillies are in good position right now. They're up 8, and even with this huge lead, I am cautiously optimistic because when you're from Philly, you hope for the best, but you expect the worst. So, but that's everything that's going on in baseball that I saw. I mean, I could give you the scores right now if I wanted to, uh, but I will. I'll probably have somebody reading the scores and stuff like that. But whatever. But so found some interesting stories here from the NFL here. They're not the typical stories, but sometimes I'd like to go with something that is not um, um, you know something that's all away from the spotlight. And Robbie says here, I would normally talk right now, but the Yankees are giving me nothing to work with. Yeah, I know, because my one friend that was here last night, SJ, she is not on tonight, and that is disappointing me because I purposely wore this today because she was giving me a bunch of crap last night that I'm so Philly, it's disgusting. I mean, those weren't her exact words, but I'm paraphrasing. Um, the one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to play with her. Guess who's on the back of this jersey? I did it with my buddy Mike on Kentucky Derby Day. And I told my buddy Mike, I told him, okay, Mike, you get a free $20 win wager from me. I will fund it if you can guess this jersey. And I reluctantly gave him a couple of clues, and he still didn't get it right. But when he saw who was on the back of the jersey, he was, what the hell are you doing with that? I was like, hey, it's a conversation starter. That's why I got it. But sorry, Robbie. I'm not revealing who it is because knowing my luck, if my friend SJ does show up tonight, I want to play that game with her. But if not, we'll just play it another night. So, but the Phillies did win to here, and you know, and I, that's what's happening to the Yankees is exactly why I was cautiously optimistic with the Phillies because I'm used to the Phillies being a second half team. I'm used to the Phillies playing like crap till June. Kyle Schwarber would warm up, and then the next thing you know, the Phillies have a 10-game win streak or a 9-game streak. They lose 2, and then they win another 7. And trust me, and I saw on ESPN, but I did not print the article up. Cashman's obviously concerned about the team right now, and they're probably going to trade for a couple of guys and make everything great again. But I really think what he had. I mean, you know, I think it's more than just hitting, but when that Yankee team starts clicking, look out. Because it's also a small stadium. It isn't like the original old Yankee Stadium where it was like 1,600 feet to left center, and I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. You know, back before my day. But um, but yeah, it's you know there Robbie has nothing to work with right now, and that happens. And you could still talk about the Yankees every once in a while. I know I talk about the Phillies, and like for example with Ranger Suarez, I will tell you, Suarez has not been the same since he got hit in the hand a couple weeks ago, or almost a month ago. He hasn't been the same, but he does have the All Star break coming up, even though he's going to be in the game. He might be the pitcher on the roster where Rob Thompson may go to Torey Lovello and say, only use him if you need him in an emergency. We prefer you not to use him, something like that. Uh, but but I think the Yankees will get back to where they were. You know, you're going to have ebbs and flows. That's why baseball is 162 games. And like my one buddy said, even though I amended it over the last couple of years with, especially this year, the White Sox and the A's and the Rockies, he says, you know, you win 60, you lose 60. It's those other 42 games that decide your season. And it's very true. It's just that some teams can barely get the 50 wins because they're tanking. But, you know, even though the Yankees are in trouble right now, I wouldn't be worried long term because I think they will bounce back, you know, and that the it may be that the All Star break is the best thing that can happen to this Yankees team. You know, once you're done on Sunday, aside from the Yankees going to the All Star game, sometimes it's good to just get away from a couple of days, and I can vouch for that because of the fact my job has been so stressful with people screaming at me time and time again that by the end of the day I'm like, ugh. But 5 minutes later, it's like I never worked today. Never worked. It's like total change of face. But once you get and the thing is, it's how you bounce back, or you'll see whether that hot streak that they had early on was a fluke, or they can get back on there. You'll see how good that team is. You know, I mean, Heel had problems. I don't know everything that's been going on with the Yankees, but um, and that's why I wish even my friend SJ was on right now because she can type away in the chat on Twitch while I talk about that because we started talking and she had me going 18 different directions, but I don't mind, you know. But the Yankees, I think they'll be fine in the long run, and you just got to be one of the three division winners or the best three of the 12 remaining teams to get into the playoffs. And we saw, especially in the National League the last 2 years, you don't have to be a top two seed to make it to the World Series. Ask the Phillies about 2022. Ask the Phillies about 2023 when they choked Arizona. But I wouldn't be worried about the Yankees too much. I mean, I'd be worried short term, but I think they will bounce back. It isn't like they're going to go from world beaters to get beat up by the world. They're going to bounce back. Everybody does in baseball. So now I mentioned here Joe Burrow wants to be an Olympian. And I'm just waiting for the scroll here just so I can quote myself either. Uh, and Judge is still going, yeah. And the one thing with Aaron Judge Um, the one thing I said about Aaron Judge is because he is so tall and so big, he's got a natural uppercut swing, if you think about it, because he's got to go down to meet the ball in the strike zone, and then the natural motion of the bat goes up. So, but you do want to get the swing where you get uh, the backspin on the ball, so it'll fly further. Because, um, and here I go with the nerd talk again. Because when you throw a curveball, for example, it's got topspin on it, and that's why it goes down. So, but that's just me being a nerd, and I wouldn't worry about Judge is still hitting. Um, I got to do more homework on the Yankees, but you know, it'll be the Yankees will be fine. You just got to get in. That's the way baseball has become with this extra wild card. Is you just got to get into the tourney, and then do your damage in October. So I wouldn't worry about that, even though Judge is 2022 Judge. Probably going to hit 60 some home runs again, even though I projected Juan Soto to have more home runs than Judge, but even he's scoring a shit ton of runs. But on to some NFL stories. And there I say it right there, Joe Burrow wants to be an Olympian. Now, he's not going to be in the 2024 Olympics, but if you have not, if you're not aware about 2028, it is going to be in Los Angeles, except for softball. Softball is going to be in its own little world in Oklahoma City. But one of the sports that is coming to the Olympics next year is flag football. And add Joe Burrow's name to Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill to the growing list of NFL stars who want in on the action. And, I mean, I kind of say, okay, but, I look at the 3-on-3 basketball and I watch on Twitch, I watch Bridget Case, great, great stream, very, she's a former anchor, former sports anchor, um, you know, great person, and you know, and we watched the big three on there on her Twitch channel. And I probably won't be doing it this Saturday because I think I got something I got to do on Saturday. Um, but you know, I forgot where I was going with this, but let me get back into this. Um, but Joe Burrow wants to get in on flag football, and the like for example, in 2021, they had 3-on-3 basketball. Now, the rules of Olympic 3x3 basketball is a little bit different from the Big Three tournament, but there's a lot of things that are the same, but you have these little nuances with what the Big Three wants to do to draw fan interest and goof around and make things fun for the fans versus what they do with the 3-on-3. Because, like for example, Kelsey Plum, who's going to be on the women's team this year, she was on the 3x3 women's basketball team in 2020 or 2021 for the 2020 Olympics. So, but I just think, because the one thing I said numerous times with the 3-on-3, the big three, I would rather see athletes that can grow from 3-on-3 to 5-on-5, if that's possible over the age of 21. But the way Ice Cube wants to run it, and it's his league, he created it, it's his baby. If he wants to have has-beens and never will be NBA players, so be it. But so Burrow said in a recent appearance of Part of My Take that he wants to play on the Olympic flag football team. Like me, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, me and my friends out there playing football. I think it'd really be cool. And I think it would be cool, but the question is, what about the injuries? I mean, we've seen injuries pop up at the most inopportune times, no matter what the sport is. And um, there was one player who was at the Pro Bowl, and they had and this was when the game was still in Hawaii, a running back. The name, I'm not even going to try to remember the name. I think he was a New England Patriot long before Brady. They were playing beach football, and he blew out his knee. But that's the issue that you're going to have here is you may have some teams that say, no, you're a superstar. We don't want you playing in the Olympics. Or you get a waiver or, something. I don't know. But I would always be worried about a star player getting hurt. Now, quarterback in flag football, you're not getting hurt. But yeah, I mean, you may roll out and maybe you roll an ankle or something like that. But you could have, like you said, a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson. You could blow a knee out when you're least expecting. I mean, we've seen a lot of non-contact injuries, no matter the sport. I mean, Achilles snapping, um, knees blowing out. I know my personal experience just running to get a train, me tearing my calf muscle a few years ago. You know, it happens, you know, and you got to be careful with that. And the other thing is the only other thing that may be a concern, and you know, think I think the Olympics will be over before the regular season. It'll definitely be over before the regular season starts, but but you may miss a game or two in the exhibition season, even though these players don't really play exhibition football anymore. It's just like, oh, let's have a joint practice with another team. That'll be our work for Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. We'll have them do the joint practices at our training facility, but we're not going to let them play in the game because somebody may hit them too hard and knock them out cold, or you know a bad hit to the knee will knock them out for the season. We want to bubble wrap them for the regular season, but we will keep them under control with a joint practice. But um, and also Burrow said it would be embarrassing if the United States failed to win a gold medal at the first Olympics in the first Olympics in which flag football is played. Well, don't tell that to the under 20 football team. They lost twice in that tournament. They lost once to Japan and they lost to somebody else. Now, granted, you're talking about a totally different level of sports. You're looking at a team that, was probably Division two, Division three, NAIA schools. Now, when I originally started college at Holy Family, that school was NAIA before everybody in this region of the country said, we got to go NCAA. And a lot of the schools that were in the Holy Families region, District 19, they all went to Division three. Holy Family went D2. And, but, um, but I didn't research the roster, but, you do, um, I mean, I'm not worried about that, but I'm just like, well, why did they lose? That's our sport, blah blah blah. Well, I'm guessing you probably had what would be sixth, seventh, eighth string guys if they were on a D1 school, as opposed to those top-notch D1 players who are getting all the NIL money and everything. And, we're just going to play those 12, 13, 14, or 16 games now with the playoffs the way that they're set up this year with 12 teams. And, but, but, but it is unclear whether the NFL players will be suiting up for the United States in flag football. Now, MLB and NHL have represented the United States and other countries in the previous Olympics. Now, I think there was something about baseball potentially in 2028, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, that's something that's going to come a couple of years from now. We make it a because they're more worried about the 2025 schedule right now. They're not worried about 2028, but but then they're going to have a lot of fun trying to do the 2026 schedule because the Phillies are right across the street from Lincoln Financial Field. And if Robbie comes to Philadelphia for when FAU plays here against Temple, uh, and chairman of the board, welcome in. He's one of my friends from Action Labs. Uh, Yo, Joe. Hey, Joe, your Phillies won again. Well, but we lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves. I shouldn't be using the word we, but I am from Philly, so and chairman is a Braves fan. Boo. But gotta show you something, chairman. It's the it's the Philly City Connect, but I didn't get it in blue. I got it in red. I found it online a couple of months ago. It's like, yeah, I'll buy it. And uh, I would play a game of um, who's on the back of my jersey, but I want to save that for somebody else because I don't know if that person is going to pop in like in the middle of you playing. So I just don't want to play it tonight. So probably another night, and maybe even one night that you stream, I can pop on there and moonlight on your stream or whoever's stream, and we can play who's on the back of Joe's jersey. Because I will just say this as my only clue. And I told my friend Robbie, who is on X, and apparently X works, the chat. It's just that if it's not me chatting in X, I don't see it on my EV Mux that I use. Because I go to X, I go to YouTube, I go to Twitch. But for whatever reason, and it may be the plan that I have with EV Mux, I gotta. Thankfully, I'm off tomorrow, and aside from having maintenance come up to my apartment tomorrow morning, I can research why X doesn't work because I can stream in, but I can't get the chat from X back over to here. But because I know somebody that we used to be aligned with, and I'm not mentioning their name because I don't want to turn this into a rivalry because I said this about, and it's not the Tony Bruno Sports Network. The one thing I said, I went on a little rant when somebody said, "Oh, I thought better of you. I thought you would stay with Tony." But with the Tony Bruno Sports Network, it wasn't about me staying with Tony. It was the fact that I was Bleacher Brothers the whole time, and I was writing articles. I was streaming. I was working, with different stuff with them, and I was interacting with them more. And they offered me to bring my show under their umbrella and everything like that. So that's why I was Bleacher Brothers. It has nothing to do with anything with that. So basically, what I said was, and this is the same no matter what you want to say. If you want to turn it into a rivalry, I'm out of that conversation because it's not about rivalries. And I also believe that if you tell somebody, and if Robbie's still watching, this is, since Robbie is fresh out of college, never burn your bridges because you never know when the things are reversed and you're their superior or vice versa. Um, you know, Never burn your bridges. And, you never know. So you never know when you need a favor from somebody. You need a referral or anything like that. Give me a good reference or whatever. Uh, you know, but I'm not going to say a bad thing. And like let's say, and I'm not saying this, so don't go to Action Labs. But since we got together with Action Labs watching their streams, like for example, um, um, so I'm going to give one clue. It's a past player, but but he's more known for a different sport. So you're going to make me pull up my main Twitch page so I can see if this other person I want to play this game with doesn't show up. But um, but but the one thing I will say is, like, let's say Bleacher Brothers, which I'm a part of, and Action Labs gets into a big rivalry. Let's say that happens. Pretend. The worst thing anybody on one side can say about the other side is, in my case, don't watch Action Labs. Or if somebody from Action Labs, they'll say, oh, don't watch any of that Bleacher Brothers stuff because you know what's going to happen more times than not. Screw the side that said don't watch the other side, like me with Bleacher Brothers saying don't watch Action Labs, because guess what? Those 21 viewers that I have right now, which are mostly on X, they're going to say, screw you, buddy. We're out of here. And you lose 10, 15, 20, 30, however many people. And like a perfect example with in the real world, you piss off one person, you lose 10 customers, but you got to make 10 customers happy to get a new customer or along that ratio. So you will never hear from me, screw group B. Don't watch them. You will never hear that from me. And if I were to lead a group of people, I will never say that, especially not in public, not on a public stream, because you say that, you can kiss your viewers goodbye. I don't care. I don't care how pissed off somebody is, and you just hope that if you say it, there's like 3 people watching, and maybe you lose maybe 5 followers or subscriptions if you're lucky enough to be that next level on Twitch, which I'm not yet, even though I just got to 50 followers yet last night. Um, I will never say screw that group, fuck that group, whatever. Especially on something as public as this stream, even though we only have X amount of viewers. I will never say that. I will never say that to somebody. I would rather um, I will never say that to somebody, and I'm deadly serious with this. I don't care what they say. You don't give the other side ammunition. And if you say something, your fans are leaving. But you know, I'm not going to say that. But Action Labs is a good group, and I get to moonlight there, get to tell my jokes, and you know, and Bleacher Brothers is a great group as well. Um, Even though I'm watching two different chats here, my EV Mux is a combination of YouTube and Twitch that I get to do. So, like for example, if 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 chairman of the board just said this, I can pull that up on my screen here. One clue is if president passed. I answered that question already. But for whatever reason, unless it's me talking in the Twitter chat or X chat, not the triple X chat, that's a whole different thing. That's $2.99 a minute. $2.99 for the first minute. But anyways, uh, but I'm kind of watching that, and um, hmm. And I know you're kidding when you said that. I'm not going to play it on here. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to post what you said at first. But for whatever reason, but for whatever reason, Chairman showed up, but my friend Robbie, who's part of Bleacher Brothers, did not. So, um, you know, but I am not going to post that original comment that you had because I'm not getting you in trouble. Even though I know you're joking, but I'm not getting in trouble. So there are a bunch of good people over there at Action Labs, and they put up with my jokes and stuff like that. Oh, um, and like Chairman said, ha ha, they know it'd be a joke. Yeah, I know. But if I were to post it like I just did for about half a second, um, somebody takes a screenshot. What is Chairman saying there? Because I can leave it up there for 15 minutes, and but I'm not going to. But I know he's joking around. They know he's joking around. But sometimes it's best judgment to not give someone that opportunity of getting screwed over for whatever reason, even though we know Chairman is joking around with his group with Action Lab. So, um, but um, but I'd be interested to see what happens with Joe Burrow, um, or at least what the NFL does with flag football. Um, because you do have to worry about injuries, but the non-contact injuries are the ones that you'd have to worry about the most with flag football. Whereas, regular football, it would just take forever to do a football season for the Olympics. That's why they don't have regular football. That's why they're bringing flag football in because you can pretty much play every day flag football. Whereas regular football, you got to play it every week because, the body takes so much hits and damage that you're basically a car crash every play for 70, 80, 90 plays. That's a reason why the NFL Players Association did not want a 17th game, and they definitely would not want an 18th game. But that's a topic for another time. But um, I also mentioned here there's only one Josh Allen in the NFL now, and that is because the Jaguars star rusher Josh Allen announced that he is no longer Josh Allen. I will explain. Uh, no longer do we get the joy of Josh Allen sacked by Josh Allen, and some people be like, huh? But the Josh Allen that was with Jacksonville this past season, um, he made a video that was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars today, announcing that he decided to change his name to Joshua Hines Allen and will wear Hines Allen on the back of the 41 jersey beginning the season. Now, obviously, the football world will no longer confuse the two Josh Allens, the one in Buffalo and this one. Hines Allen made the decision to honor the maternal side of the family and the other relatives who have worn Hines and Hines Allen on their jerseys. He said, "Legacies forever. I'm proud that I can carry that tradition on the back of my jersey, following the footsteps of my family who have donned the Hines Allen last name with so much pride and joy. My last name has been changed, but I'm still that person. And I will continue to play like it, play even better." Um, Now, his sister, and this is why I wish SJ was on tonight because she can say how much I butchered the name, even though, you know, I always give the caveat if I mispronounce the name, so be it. I just don't care. I just don't have that counter like Action Lab has when one of the guys mispronounced a name, and I tried to test them on their stream Sunday with Manayunk, Conshohocken, and Bala Uh, but his sister Myesha Hines Allen plays with the Washington Mystics. Uh, Her uncle Gregory Hines was drafted by the Warriors in 1983. I think that's a different Gregory Hines, obviously. He's in the Hampton University Athletics Hall of Fame. And his uncle Keith Hines played for Montclair State in basketball. Um, and, it's been a big year for Hines Allen. Career high 17 and a half sacks, 33 quarterback hits, Pro Bowl nod. He signed a 5-year deal in April for 150, $88 million guaranteed. And Hines Allen will host a jersey exchange in Jacksonville in September for fans who own an Allen 41 jersey. But here's a conundrum that I would say. In my opinion, I would want to keep the Allen 41 jersey because, you know, maybe it's a conversation starter like this jersey is, or maybe it'd be worth something if, like, let's say you've only worn it like once or twice, or you have it encasing on your wall. But, but if you want to do that, go right ahead. I mean, I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but even though I'm not a fan of hyphenated last names, um, I'm not a fan of, you know, Hines, Hines Allen or Duncan Hines or, you know, all the different hyphenated last names that are out there now because, and even worse, what I fear could happen, and I'm getting into my weirdo politics here, even though I try not to talk politics. I don't know if it's really politics, it's more how much I hate certain things in America. Um, you know, if somebody with already a hyphenated last name, let's take Julie Stewart Binks, for example. You know, she never was married. Let's say she gets married. Her or anybody with a hyphenated last name that isn't married, you can conceivably go Smith, Jones, Washington, and have a three-part last name. And it could get, you'd be starting from the top of the last name, going down the one armpit, around the back, and then back up toward the other armpit. Or you got one last name at the top, one in the middle, right underneath the number, and the third part underneath. You know, I mean, it's just a little ridiculous with that, and if I ever got married, I would tell whoever that I was marrying, and I guarantee you that me going political is dropping the viewers on my Twitch side. I would say, hey, you don't have to take my last name. If you want to keep your last name, go right ahead. Or if you want to be like a lot of news people, have a use your maiden name as your stage name on the news, and then you can come home and be the married name. Having my last name is not that big of a deal to me, but choose the last name. But that's just me. Now, I do want to bring up this next story, and this is a segment that I bring up every once in a while, and I call it. I'm probably going to have to censor this when we go to 4 nights a week and all the additional stuff that I've told my inner circle I trust the most. I tell them, um, you know, the things that I keep secret because I mean, it's not. I don't think it's really that much of a secret, but you know how you don't want to say something in case you weren't supposed to say it. What's the best way to not say something? Not let a cat out of the bag. You just don't say it. If you feel it's not supposed to be out in the public, then it's not supposed to be out in the public. But um, as you see there, I have a segment that is called the stupid shit I saw segment. And sometimes it's really utterly stupid stuff like, you know, um, like Preston and Steve in Philadelphia, where I actually got this article from on WMMR in Philadelphia. They have a segment on their show every morning called the Bizarre Files, where it's some of the weirdest stories you ever heard. Um, you know, um, and basically, uh, if Robbie's still here, he can attest to this. All the Florida stories, because Florida does have an open news story policy. If you want to hear about, the guy who, stole $1,000 and then went back to the store and spent $1,000 on something else, whatever. But you make up a weird story. It's probably happened in Florida. Um, you could probably. I think there's a birthday thing where you go, like for example, my birthday is September 18th, so you go September 18th, Florida man, or if you're a woman, Florida woman, and the first story is your Florida man or Florida woman story. I think that's how that Florida thing goes, but it's not something goofy like that. But the stupid shit that I saw story tonight is a local story. It actually originated from the TV station here in Philadelphia, 6ABC, at least Preston Steve in Philadelphia on 93.3 WMMR. They actually they must have had this on the Bizarre File today. Now, I know Chairman, when I mention the word Wawa, he may say, "What the hell is that?" Now, Robbie, he's in Florida. I know that he knows that is, even if he never walked in a Wawa, because Wawa about 10 years ago went into Florida. But I am going to pull up my screen here, and if anybody comments on X, I apologize. I will not see it. So this is from WMMR, which originated on 6ABC and probably originated somewhere else before that. Um, Now, when you go to Wawa, which is a convenience store, just think of 7-Eleven but cleaner. Wawa is a local institution here in Pennsylvania. It started out in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, expanded down to Virginia, and then they got to Florida. And there's a couple additional states now. I'll tell you about that in a moment. When you order from the deli area, pay for it up front, then you come back. You know, they have a record with uh, their their cashier system where, okay, he paid for that sandwich, you can give it to him. It's just just kind of like theft control, but also, okay, we know he paid for it. So what they do is, and what you do is you just go to a self-serve terminal, and you punch in your whatever you want, whether it's my personal favorite is the foot long meatball, the football meatball classic, um, or you can get, whatever you want. I mean, you name it, they probably have it on that touch screen uh, that you would traverse through, and they give you that stub, and on it is a three-digit number: 001, 002, 250, 469. You get the idea. So this guy in New Jersey, and I might have to make the tab bigger. A Jersey Shore guy, the way that they uh, the way that they titled this, a Jersey Shore guy collects receipts of every Wawa order from 000 to 9.99. So it started as a joke, but it became a full-on challenge to collect every single possible Wawa order number. Um, Tyler Garrison's bio consists of only two words, but those two words tell a whole story. It simply reads Wawa Connoisseur. Um, he set a record. Nobody was trying to probably no one else is trying to attempt. And I'm trying, and I apologize for that, because there's ads on here, and you get to see the Sprouts Market ad there. Sprouts just opened a store at Roosevelt Mall, which is a couple blocks away from me. He collected every order from 0 to 9.99. Took him over 3 years to complete this project that first started as a joke and turned into a mission. And of course, you can tell because he's a person that does something like this. He is 22 years old, and he visited Wawa at least twice a day. I go once a week.
One of the underrated hardest parts of being a YouTuber is doing a ton of writing. I'm constantly writing scripts, trying to reply to as many comments as I can.
Hope you didn't hear that.
And I feel like I'm dealing with what seems like a never-ending stream of emails. And one of the easiest ways that I can make sure I'm sounding professional and not making any grammatical errors is by using Grammarly. If you're writing a ton for business and you want to be as productive as possible, you can upgrade to Grammarly Premium and get advanced support such as vocabulary and formatting suggestions, tone adjustment recommendations, and even full sentence rewrites using Grammarly's Clarity AI technology. Grammarly has helped me be way more efficient with my time, and it's really made me a better writer because it actually explains why there's an error or a better way of phrasing something.
I mean, the only thing Subway had to do was say, okay, it's 12 inches before it got put into the oven, and then there's shrinkage. They didn't say that.
But
unfortunately,
nowadays there's rest days, and there's just
people out there that say,
it's just not the same, but still health plays a big factor.
My foot-long sandwich was only 11 inches. Well, a lot of ladies would love 11 inches, but I'm up. But, but when it comes to a sandwich, if you're saying it's 12 inches and it's only 11, well, you're in deep doo-doo. But Wawa Smart, they just call it a classic. So you got mac and cheese every day, which is something you get from the deli department. You would get an iced latte every morning. I think that's in that department. Wawa short
We saw him so physical last night, and he runs that baseline
which is down the shore,
and swats that ball out.
In the drawer before pulling
As I'm in the midst of applying for residency right now, wish me luck, Grammarly has again been a lifesaver with my application, and helping me write my personal statement and CV. Grammarly is your digital writing assistant. It's an all-in-one tool that improves your productivity, triple checks your work, and saves you time when working on multiple assignments. Even the free features are incredible. You can set your own writing goals.
But you know what? I mean, I think it's cheating, but whatever. He got his goal. Um, so social media was Wawa social media was impressed. They noted this and said that this is a level of dedication that we're talking about. There you see it, the reply. The head goose, as they call it, because the Canadian goose is their logo. Um, First post in 3 months from the CEO. He replied, "This means you get my job." He's joking around, but yeah, he was basically uh, doing on there. Now his new challenge is to go to all 1,032 locations in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Florida. New to the list, Alabama and North Carolina, and I believe Tennessee is going soon. So I might have to alert my good friend Kyle King. Keep an eye out for his area because I don't know what area they're going to be in Tennessee. But if they're in his area, I'll be like, dude, you got to try Wawa. I mean, you don't know what it's like until you go to a Wawa. So, but so now he's taking Wawa selfies at every store. Uh, and he also has cash up there. Buy me my next Wawa mac and cheese, please. I'd love you forever. But that is the stupid shit that I saw story. But sometimes you get these goofy stories, and the goofy story this week is a funny one, not a stupid one as in you effing idiot. But those are the stories that I'd like to have on the show after we talk about a couple things that are serious. We didn't have as many serious stories tonight, but some interesting things like the NRG roof being damaged by Hurricane Beryl. Tyler Glasnow goes on the DL. Joe Burrow, uh, Joshua Hines Allen, blah blah blah. You get it. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have fun with you guys, and that's what I'm trying to do here. And trying to do something. You know, Everybody tries to do something a little bit different to get their viewers to watch, and I just like to have fun with you guys, whether it's whether it's sports or even when I go off the rails and go on tangent upon tangent upon tangent like I did last night on the show. But I do appreciate everybody who takes the time, and it's a lot of fun here. I got a message I um, got to get to here because apparently one of my grade school friends was in the neighborhood, and they were at the diner a couple blocks away where it used to be a Wawa, believe it or not. Uh, but it's just a fun thing here. Get to meet up with some old friends that I went to school with. Whether it's grade school, high school, college, even though it's mostly more, you know, like my Holy Family days. You know, I only talked to a couple people, and then a couple people from Drexel, even though one person has wandered off a little bit, but I did wish her a happy birthday a couple of weeks ago. Um, but and I do appreciate everybody who got to see this show on Twitch. Um, Watched it on Twitch after the fact because there were a ton of views on Twitch after the fact. I do appreciate that. And the one thing I will say is I am going to eventually start pulling the audio from this and posting it onto uh, the different podcast platforms. What I do is I use Spreaker and they upload everywhere. Um, so I would definitely say if you are a person that just likes to listen to podcasts like I do. And like I was saying earlier today, um, the one thing I will tell you is, you know, I do have anxiety. I do have depression, and um, Jay Glazer, who's a Fox uh, NFL Sunday guy, he calls it being in the gray. And the one thing I say is, I get kicked down by one person, and then another person, then I'm fine by then. But it's like it doesn't matter what it is. It it takes a little bit to snap out, and that's why I do the show. Now I've seen some people um, on that I follow on the different discords I follow, even though I don't read every one. A lot of times I just hit mark as read because that way I know, even though I'm not interested in what they're doing on a certain page, it's just like there's just too much to catch up on. But the one thing I do, you know, you know, I will definitely say this. I know that some people have said, you know, some people have get some problem, certain things that happen while they're while they're um, streaming on Twitch. Me, I go Twitch, I go X, and I also go to YouTube. Now, the one thing I will tell you guys, this is definitely part of me getting rid of all that anxiety, all the frustration of working, dealing with people screaming at you nonstop all day, all night. I just believe that I make this fun for everybody. And if I get to that next part on here, and I'm just pulling it up because I hit the wrong thing there. Let's say I get to affiliate, okay? And then you can hold on a second. And their history. Um, they wanted to promote something, I just don't want to deal with that bullshit. So, and that's basically what it is. I put up with a lot of bullshit with my real job. And what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted is I really do not look at this, even if I do get to affiliate. I need more average viewers. That's what I need. Um, if I got to affiliate to the point where you can donate or cheer, I can tell you right now, I am definitely not doing it for the money. Now, some people did do it. They did make a ton of money, and then Amazon said, "All right, well, you can't make that much money off of us. We're going to cut the percentages down." And there's all different things that go on with that. All above my pay grade right now because guess what? I'm not an affiliate. But the one thing I will tell you guys, and this is from the heart here, you know, I appreciate that you watch. That's enough for me. I'm happy with that. But if it got to the point where I got to affiliate, I will definitely tell you, even though the subscriptions are nice, everything like that, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because this is one of the ways that I can wind down from a tough day at work. I can talk sports. I can do my thing. When Bleacher Brothers expands to 4 days, I do want to do interviews and stuff like that. I do have a Monday co-host planned as well. Do got to talk to him about a couple of things. Just hoping for the right sale for what I want to do. But you know, I'm not gonna renege on what I say and say, "Hey, cheer, cheer, cheer," or donate, donate, donate. I'm not like that. I'm not the type of person that has a handout. But if somebody randomly cheers once I get to affiliate, feel free. I will appreciate it. I'll appreciate to know when. But guess what? I'm not telling you that you have to cheer. It's kind of like anything else in life. Or like what I want to say with like when I gift something to somebody, let's say if I had a girlfriend, you know, I don't want to get something because she expects it. I want to get something because I want to gift it to them. And that's what I would say to you guys if I got to affiliate. I'm not doing it for making money. I'm doing this for the love of talking sports. And also, let's say something grows out of this. Like let's say, oh, God forbid, I get a job in sports like this, you know, then so be it. But if not, this is just a hobby that I do. And, if it leads to something great, if not, I'm doing something I like to do. And it's something that I can do right now that does not affect me in terms of anxiety or anything like that, because it definitely lessens it. Because guess what? This is what I love talking about. I love talking about sports. I love talking about goofy stuff. I even went nerd talk on you. I was talking about that hurricane. I was telling you about weather. I was doing other things as well. Um, I'm not, I'm all about having fun on here, and and I hope that I exude that to you guys, because I don't, and if I and I've told you many times in the past, if there's something going on and I can't stream, I will tell you as quickly as I can and as far enough in advance as I can. And I went through a lot of shit last year, family wise. Um, and I ended up taking like a week and a half off with everything that was going on. I did have a couple of shows I canceled very last minute. I was like, "Man, I just can't do this." And there was other things going on. I was like, I can't do it. And that stuff happened. That thing has passed. No pun intended. I shouldn't say thing, but you get the idea. That's something that could be discussed at another time in a private chat. But I am not. If if I do get to that affiliate eventually, I am not going to say, "Hey, gimme, gimme, gimme." I'm not that type of a person. There's other people in my family are like, "Hey, I expect." There's only one time when I'm like this, and it's Friday when it's to get paid for my real job. Now, granted, it goes right to my bank account, and the rest is history. But I will never be like this. But but I do appreciate everybody watching, and if you're watching on X, you know, you can come on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/JoeQuills. You know, I do appreciate wherever you're watching because you can watch it on YouTube after the fact. You can watch it on Twitch after the fact. Had a lot of views from last night's show, and I do appreciate everybody who took the time, whether it's a couple of minutes or the whole show. Because the way that I do these shows, I could do these shows where that eye that I look at, I as an EYE, it's got 22 people watching right now. Most of them are on X. And I do this as, okay, well, it's available to you after the fact. Because this isn't just about being live, even though I do it live every Monday and Tuesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock. I try to do a little bit of, have a little bit of fun with you guys, but also give you some thoughts on some things. And, feel free to say something that I don't agree with. If you don't agree with something, that's perfectly fine. As long as we have something that is, I guess I could say professional, but I'm looking for a better word, but you get the idea. It's not about, you know, if you start getting nasty and start saying you're an effing idiot, you're an effing a-hole, that's where I draw the line. You know, but you know, but the thing is, when you have somebody commenting about, you know, different things that, that they disagree with, hey, it's a fun conversation piece and we can talk about it. Like for example, we don't talk politics here. We don't talk religion. We don't talk about my job more than a vague reference here or there. And, I know work gives me all kinds of anxiety. But, the one thing I will tell you guys, some people, well, I should say everybody handles their anxiety and depression in different ways. For me, it's listening to podcasts, but on breaks to calm myself down. It's just getting my mind off of work for 15 minutes or a half an hour. It's doing the show with you guys. And some people, everybody's going to handle things differently than what I do. And the one thing I will say is if it gets worse and you need help, don't be afraid of getting help. Now, the one thing I will tell you, and this is when I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression a few years ago. They did ask me, well, the one nurse said, the nurse that saw me once I was in the ER, I said, she goes, well, you're at the airport and, this is Northeast Philly that we're in. Just to give you an idea of where Northeast Philly and the airport is, they're total opposite ends of the city. You could have stopped at like 7, 8 hospitals. Why didn't you do that? I was like, well, my dad is nearby, and if he had to come to the hospital, it'd be much easier for him. And, just like a lot of things with me in my life, I'm more worried about others than I'm worried about myself. But the one thing that they asked me, and this is probably just a checklist of things to talk about as well. And I'm going to tell you ahead of time, if you sense depression out of me, it's not going to be anything too serious, if that's a proper way of saying it. The one thing I will tell you guys, I have never been suicidal. And, I, work and everything else, it really drags me into a rut. But I'm not the type of guy who would just do something like that. I love being a royal pain in the ass to people. I enjoy being a pain in the ass. I enjoy being a jokester, a prankster. I like being the nerd from time to time. I like being the sports guy. I like being the person that comes up with these random thoughts where you're like, where the hell did that come from? That's me. Even if I'm in my lowest of lows, I just know how I tick. And even if that ticking is muted because things aren't right with me, I'm never going to be the type of person that does that. I'm going to be the type of person that's always going to be the pain in the ass. And even though I'm, Jay Glazer calls it going into the gray, I'm calling it muted because, you may not see it in terms of that right now, but, I feel much better today. And, some people call themselves mental advocates. Me personally, I don't want to put any titles. I mean, I don't like any titles on me, you know, other than Mister. But but like when I used to go, my mom would go, "Oh, come down to school." She used to be a secretary. She'll go, "Come down to school, blah blah blah. You'll meet a couple of people, bring a couple of things I need, blah blah blah." All right. So the way the African Americans are, they're like, Mr. Joe, Mr. Joe, Mr. Joe. I'm like, hey, you can call me Joe. That's okay. I mean, I understand why you're calling me Mr. Joe, but feel free to call me Joe. I'm not, I know it's a sign of respect. You have my permission, just call me Joe. I'm not a person that believes in titles. You know, like part of me is me being the handicapper for Bleacher Brothers. Now, I prefer the term degenerate, but that's another label. I'm just part of the Bleacher Brothers team. And I like to joke around with those guys and see if I can get them off. I should not have stopped there because now everybody's going to think I do a circle jerk with them. I'd like to get them off the rails with some of the comments I have, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and sometimes they just do something like this, and I just post, and they just go like that, where they just pop that up for half a second. But that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to be, and maybe the anxiety gets much worse, like 10 years from now. But as long as I'm that royal pain in the ass from time to time, everything I described about myself, you know, I'm never going to do that one thing that some people talk about doing. And I'm not even mentioning those words because guess what? This is the way people are. And, you can chop up a video up and it's look what Joe said. And you hear those three words, or like what I said, I used the words get off and I paused when I shouldn't have. You you chop that part up, it'd be like an out of context thing. That's why I always say whenever there's a viral video, I want to see the whole video because I want to see what happened that led up to that moment where this person got arrested or this cop got fired because of his actions on that video. Well, what happened beforehand? But you get the idea. So I am going to call it a night. Now, I do want to remind you also check out bleacherbrothers.com for all your sports needs. And tomorrow's race is going to be a race at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. And I am going to check one thing here because I can. And um, okay, good. Okay, so it is a race that is on the dirt, their main track. So um, there may be scratches in the race, but it won't be like it's a turf race where I had a couple of weeks ago where 7 of the 9 horses scratched, and I said, I can't take credit for that win. But, keep an eye there. Wednesday is going to be Horseshoe Indy. I'll be writing that up tonight. The weather is much cooler there than it is here in the East Coast, where we got a couple more days of the extreme heat wave that we're going through. Well, relatively speaking, compared to what's going on in Vegas in the western part of the U.S., where they're getting to 120, 130, you know, crazy numbers that they have out west in the desert. You know, it's just different here in the East because it's the heat, it's the humidity, and it's the stupidity. But, you know, it will be a race from Horseshoe Indy tomorrow. I'll be looking over that race tonight. Just give you a heads up, Thursday and Friday will be Saratoga. Saratoga racing is here. Summer's officially here. Saratoga starts this week. Next week is Del Mar, and we're probably going to have on my Quills Picks Winners article a shit ton of races from Saratoga and Del Mar. Saratoga runs 5 days a week, Wednesday to Sunday. I think Del Mar is Thursday to Sunday. I'd have to look that up, but going to get a lot of those tracks, and a lot of the Del Mar races, even if it's not the featured race on the daily racing form, I do have a fallback because I do play in their handicapping challenge and looking for that NHC berth, which has been eluding me for years, but I'm not a big time NHC player. So, but anyways, been trying to shut this down for a couple of minutes now. And once again, I do appreciate everybody, everybody on Twitch, everybody on X, everybody who may watch on YouTube after the fact. Do appreciate everybody, and we'll figure out that X thing, because at least I know people are chatting in there. It's just that I got to get creative and have two different browsers open, but not that big of a deal. But I do appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch this either live or on demand on your leisure. I do appreciate everybody. I say it all the time, but I do mean it, straight from the heart. So that is it for now. Do appreciate everybody. No show tomorrow. I will be at the Penny Pack Music Festival at Constarters up in Northeast Philly. Maybe I wear this again tomorrow. I only put it on for the show. And maybe if SJ shows up, her, and maybe if chairman of the board is also watching, we may be able to play Who's on the Back of My Jersey. Only my friend Mike knows, and a select few. They've seen the back of this jersey, and it's a fun little game I like to play, because it's when you find out who it is, it's like, really, dude? But whatever. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you Thursday night right here on Twitch, on X, and on YouTube, all at Joe Quills at 9 o'clock Eastern. And this is a Bleacher Brothers show. Check out bleacherbrothers.com for all your sports needs. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll catch you on Thursday.